balita kay ex-human rights lawyer kung ano na,
No,
anong
I really
geolocate.
don't have info on that on his whereabouts.
Dapat gawa tayo ng TikTok series. Nasaan si... Parang yung mga, where is Doris? Parang mga ganun. Parang, where is Doris
Where
in
in
the
the
world?
world is
Where in the world? like, gawa tayo ng ganyan series, Justice. Tapos tawag ako every series. Justice, balita ko may ganyan-ganyan, di ba? Saan po yung mga extradition, di ba? I have already a TikTok idea, Justice. Let's make something soon. Nasaan si ano? Nasaan si Doris? Um, kung, kasi Justice, the reason I'm asking it because tuwan-tuwa si Panelo ngayon. Panelo is having a great moment. I mean, he's shining. He's in the Congress. He's in the Senate, and he's giving weird interviews. Hindi ba illegal for him to come out and say essentially na may gusto magkuku yung mga nasa military? I remember there was one interview he had with I think Bilyonaryo or something na parang sabi niya na maraming discontent dyan sa military, ganyan-ganyan. Isn't that incitement to sedition, Justice? I mean, or is that just normal expression of Duterte freedom of expression? I mean, what's going on there?
well, inciting to sedition is has a very strict meaning. Uh, by uttering words, you're immediately uh, inciting people to commit lawless violence. Eh, wala namang nakikinig sa kanya. Yun ang problema. He cannot be inciting to sedition because nobody takes him seriously. That's the problem there. And in fact, that's a defense if he's
Actually,
charged.
Senator Trillanes, who comes from a military background, and he has his way of thinking. Senator Trillanes was even more unvarnished in his legal analysis. I mean, well, he's a clown, so he can never be taken seriously. So ipso facto, he's disqualified from inciting to sedition. Like, but I'm just saying, just because ano klaseng bansa na someone just goes, eh, then gusto magkudeta mga yan. Like, it's this, di ba? Kasi back in the day, they were accusing all of us of being destabilizers. Sasabihin lang natin, bakit ang tamat ni Digong, destabilizer na tayo. Bakit si Digong nasa Davao na naman, destabilizer. Eh ngayon, he's open, So what you're saying, Justice, is if no one takes you seriously, you can say whatever you want. Is that
Because nobody is incited. I mean, your words, your utterances must cause immediate action on the part of the one who hearing you.
oh my,
They
ang
will
laking
commit
problema
lawless
pala.
violence.
So kaya
Wala
pala ganun
namang,
yung mga tao ni,
nobody is persuaded.
so pala ganun yung mga tao ni Digong, so strategic pala yan kasi walang siseryoso sa kanila. Si Aguirre, nasaan na si Aguirre? Si
Well, he's quiet now.
Like, I'm just saying, oh ano, no one, ang sakit naman ng Justice, no one takes him seriously. Parang, what about if si Harry Roque nagsabi ng Justice? You think he'll be taken more seriously para ma-hurt si Panelo? Sabihin mo na lang na mas serious si Harry.
Well, but if nobody is incited to commit a lawless violence, wala rin. I mean, that will be their defense. Nobody really reacted.
Yun lang. So tama rin pala eh. Meron palang leeway ito si Panelo. Ang laki pala ng room for maneuver niya along those lines sa Justice. Basta yun na guys, Finding Doris. Ano, meron tayong series every week. Tinatanong ko. Now, Justice, let's transition a little bit to less depressing things. But still depressing. Kamusta ang West Philippine Sea in terms of itong bagong baselines legislation na pinasa ng China? Anong kinalaman ito sa atin? Ito ba ay nagpakita ng China ay nagre-recalibrate? Ito ba ay nagpapakita ng China ay more agresibo? Ano pong basa niyo dito?
Well, it's a very clever move by China because China is saying that we have drawn straight baselines around Scarborough Shoal. Now, you can draw straight baselines if you have territorial sovereignty. Ngayon, if we if we engage China, you cannot draw straight baselines because under UNCLOS only normal baselines can be drawn. Then we impliedly accept that they have territorial sovereignty. So what we should attack is
Ah,
you don't have territorial sovereignty.
to put
You
even
cannot draw
baselines.
any kind of baseline, straight, crooked, or normal, or archipelagic. You cannot do that. So yun dapat ang attack natin. Kasi the moment we accept their premise, that they can draw straight baselines, although the baselines are not correct. It should be normal, not straight. Patay na tayo. We admit. So
You
what we
play
should do
into
is,
their narrative already.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. We should be very careful because what we are attacking really is that they cannot draw straight baselines, only normal baselines. But the point is they cannot draw anything there because they don't have territorial sovereignty. So this is the chance for us in our reply when we submit our response to the UN in our note verbal to explain why we have territorial sovereignty. Maiipit sila because they have opened up the issue of territorial sovereignty. So we will say we have territorial sovereignty because that was in the map of the Philippines since 1734, 1808, 1875, that it's part of, and the U.S. said it's part of the cession by in the Treaty of Washington of 1900. So we will put all our arguments already, historical, legal, everything. Mapipilitin sila to reply so we can engage them because they don't want to submit this to arbitration. This is the nearest thing that we can do to bring them to this a legal discussion on why they're claiming territorial sovereignty. So our response should be that you cannot draw any baselines, whether straight, normal, or anything, because you don't have territorial sovereignty. We have territorial sovereignty because of this. We've claimed that since 1734, etc., etc., and we'll wait for the reply. They'll be forced to explain why they're claiming territorial sovereignty.
So essentially what you're saying is that yung baselines na ginawa nila was to trap us into their narrative so that we argue on their terms.
Yes,
We can do is we question the very foundation of their
yes,
narrative, which is, wait, what claim are you talking about? It's because they always say we have inherent and indisputable
yeah,
claim,
yeah,
and now we question that inherent and
yes,
indisputability by coming counter argument. That's a very nice way of putting it. Do you think
yes,
are
because
people are communicating along those lines so far? Yung mga responses from our government agencies.
not exactly along those lines. So I'm trying to explain that we just have to attack the very basis
Oh,
of
yung
their,
premise. Oh.
yeah, premise nila because this is a clever way for them.
They are very subtle. In fairness, I'll give that to China, unlike the Russians, right? The Russians are not subtle at all, right? But at least the Chinese are very subtle. So accordingly, this could be a response. Parang, oh, gusto mo makipagdebate ng territory? Let's go. Actually, kami may ebidensya. Kayo nga wala eh. Puro kayong inherent and indisputable.
Correct,
Kasi mambo
exactly.
jumbo. Exactly. So we can now push them into our game and say, oh, thank you for
Yes,
opening the space. We can actually come from here. So that's
yes,
very clever counter punch, no? Justice. What about in terms of precedents? Do you see this as a beginning of similar mumbo jumbos around other disputed features? Sabina Shoal, for instance. I don't want
yes,
to give ideas to China, but I'm just thinking ahead, two
yeah.
steps ahead here.
Well, China is moving, the dispute now is moving from maritime to territorial because even in Pag-asa, the Chinese maritime militia are staying, loitering in our territorial sea 24 hours a day, almost the whole year. So it is now, we're now moving towards the territorial dispute because they're not only claiming our maritime zones, EEZ, but they're now moving into the territorial sea. So that's why we should be prepared now to engage them uh, on the territorial issue. But you know, Richard, we have a problem because uh, if you if you ask the DFA, if you look at the statements of the DFA, they've been saying we base our claim in the 1956
Mm,
discovery of Tomas Cloma of
Colomas.
the
Yeah,
Spratlys. But that will erase the 1734 Murillo Velarde map.
right.
I mean, the Spaniards claimed it in 1734, 1808, 1875. That will erase the Treaty of
The
Washington.
erasure. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we don't have a narrative that's compelling because we have this. You have a former Solicitor General Silvio Mendoza saying that we only claimed the Spratlys in 1978 when President Marcos issued PD 1596. and you have Enrile saying uh, those islands are outside the treaty lines, the Treaty of Paris line. So let's not talk about them. And you have Father Berna saying that they're outside the treaty lines. Let's look for a basis under international law because there is no treaty law giving it to us. So we don't have a common narrative. We have various kinds of narratives, and that's why if you read, I've been reading the law journals abroad, and the scholars are saying, legal scholars are saying, we have the weakest claim because we start in 1956. I mean, we have to have a common narrative. We have not established that yet.
Medyo sabog, medyo bazaar, medyo
Yeah.
anything goes. And again, maybe that's great within an academic workshop, right? We can have that, somewhere summer school, PhD academic workshop. But this is a national, narrative issue, especially when you're against Vietnam and China, all of them claiming hundreds, if not thousand years of claims, right? It
Yes,
doesn't make sense for you to
precisely,
shrink
Richard.
your claims
That's
based story.
and we have to agree on a common narrative now because we have to respond to this note verbal of China on Scarborough Shoal. When we discuss the territorial issue, we have to establish why we are claiming territorial sovereignty. We have we have to be very precise here, and we have to agree what is our story right now. It can start in 1734, 1956, 1978, or we're still finding the reason now. Or we really will say, let's not just talk about it. I mean, what is really our position? As a nation, we must have a common narrative.
Obviously, Justice, you have been at the forefront of helping to forge a common narrative. I suspect some people are maybe just jealous that why is Carpio the one shaping this narrative? Why should Carpio? So I'm not saying yun ang nangyari, but I'm sure some people maybe they have more rivalry or professional envy or jealousy. I'm not gonna name names. But I think you're right in the sense that some people are not realizing that they're inadvertently, if not, you know, maybe intentionally, actually reinforcing China. Yun nga yung hindi ko maintindihan, Justice, eh. Bakit we should be so pluralistic and democratic in questioning our own claim, and at the same time, we take China's claims on face value? That's what I noticed with the pro-China people,
Yes.
right? Ang galing nila mag-deconstruct ng arguments ng Pilipinas. But pero pagdating sa China, they'll take it on a face value. Yeah, they were there since the Han Dynasty, I don't know, whatever dynasty, Admiral Zhang He was there, ganun. Parang, wait, why are you not deconstructing the Chinese side, but you're immediately disconstruct because hindi ko na pangalanan yung isang columnist nung isang newspaper na parati na sa front page. Sabi ko, dapat cartoon section yata yung arguments niya. But, nga, di ba, Justice, it's ridiculous, especially you're up against authoritarian countries whereby there's not really a freedom of academic discussion there. Now, I'm not saying we should be like that, but that's also my point, Justice. How can we, as a pluralistic democratic country, responsibly come up with a national narrative that at the same time is consistent with international law and arbitral ruling and our constitutional principles? How can we do that?
Well, my proposal is that the government, all government agencies, including the private sector, should sit down. We'll get the historians, the legal experts to 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 agree on a common narrative because I've presented it. I have a proposal. You have Enrile, he has his position. Father Bernas has his position. Uh, uh, the Estelito Mendoza has his position. So, and the people supporting Tomas Cloma, they have their position. So, let's decide which is the best for the Philippines. What is the best position that's in accordance with history, in accordance with international law, and which is factual.
The Philippine Historical Commission and DepEd also get involved because
Yeah,
eventually you want this to pass on to the children and to the next generation, right?
yeah. So the historical commission should be part of this. The DFA, the NSA, the uh, DND. We should all sit down and decide. And the clock is ticking because we have to respond to that note
Yeah.
verbal. China. We cannot just say we have territorial sovereignty and that's it. I mean, we have to convince not only China but the rest of the world.
I wonder, Justice, given how we were at the forefront of operationalizing international law, we were the first country to take this case of the West Philippine Sea to international court. I mean, yes, I know there was 6 years of Duterte, and I'm the last person to ignore the damages it has done. But you would have imagined that what? Almost a decade after we won that arbitration case, and more than a decade since we filed that arbitration case back in 2013 January, we would have come up with something along the lines of a kind of a coherent, let's just not say,
Mm.
perfectly unified, but coherent at least. Coherent. Kasi I don't see coherence. I mean, totally iba yung implication ng sinasabi ni Enrile, sinasabi mo, sinasabi nung puro mga Marcos crony, mga iba. And then some academics and all. Like, just what's going on here?
Yeah, that's why we just have to sit down now, and the the historical commission, the DFA, and the DepEd should spearhead this.
And Justice, speaking of maps, of course you're doing your job. The other month we were together for that fantastic event of you passing down a very, very important map that also helps us to contextualize the Treaty of Washington and also your argument against the other side. Now itong map ng Velarde kay BBM. Nakita ko yung pictures, even the ambassadors from our key allies were posting about it. Anong kwento dito? Kasi people are asking about the Velarde. Hindi ito Mark Velarde na yung naka sino yung Mark Velarde yung parang showman? Hindi, hindi. Ito yung Velarde map. Can you tell us a little bit about that, Justice?
Well, the importance of this map is this is the first map, official map of Philippine territory during the Spanish regime. The first official map ever of Philippine territory. This was made in 1734, and there you can see Scarborough Shoal and the Spratlys as part of Philippine territory. I mean, that's the significance of this. So everybody, our story should start from this because the earliest map, official map, made during the Spanish regime showing Philippine territory, and it's there. Scarborough Shoal is called Panacot. The Spratlys are called Los Baos de Paragua. And there's no dispute. It refers to Scarborough Shoal and the Spratlys. So our story should start from this with this map. This is and nobody else claimed Scarborough Shoal and the Spratlys until 1933. France was the first outside of Spain to claim the Spratlys, but France gave up, abandoned it. Uh, then Japan claimed it in 1939, established a submarine base in Ituaba. But of course, Japan lost the war and renounced its claim. It was only in 1947 that China claimed the Spratlys. So if you start 1956, you're way behind. I mean, you're late in the party. If you start 1978, as what Stelito Mendoza is suggesting, you're even
You're not even
very
inside the
late.
party. You're at the door waiting for it. It's like, hi, baka naman gusto niyo. You're a party crasher, gate crasher. I completely see where you're coming from, Justice. Maybe, unfortunately, some of our friends are more interested in, I don't know, moot and academic debates or whatever. But going back to this, Justice, again, this might come off as a amateurist question, but for the sake of education, sasabihin ng iba, bakit natin gamitin yung claims ng Espanya? Eh, di ba pinaalis natin sila? Di ba kalaban natin sila? Hindi ba colonial power sila? Bakit natin basihan yung gusto natin para sa ating bayan? Sabihin natin, ang boses ko, Robin Hood Padilla. Ayaw natin sa mga dayuhan. Ayaw na nga mag-English, di ba? Hindi naman tayo Amerikano. So kung gamitin ko yung logic ni Robin Hood Padilla, bakit natin gamitin yung mapa ng mga Espanyol? Di naman tayo Espanyol eh. Mga kalaban natin yan. Oh, Justice, paano mo ma-explain yan?
Pag hindi natin gamitin yon, wala tayong panglaban sa China. Ang mapalabas lang natin yung mapa natin when we became independent, 1946 na yon. That's way after France, and Vietnam is using the French claim. Vietnam is saying we are the
Exactly.
successor.
Right.
So, matatalo tayo.
So we're talking
because
about successor state systems, right? So you're not talking about
yeah,
ano, lahi. Yung estado natin ngayon ay base doon sa estado ng ginawa ng mga
yes,
Espanyol dito, the Spanish East Indies. So
yeah,
yun yung logic ng claim natin based on international law, right? Yeah.
that's right. Yeah, there is a state succession, and even Vietnam is using that. I mean, why should we deprive ourselves of that argument, of that legal basis?
Justice, how important is this? Let's just call it for what is it, for it what it is. Map wars. Aside from legal claims, how important are these map wars? Is it also a psychological information warfare issue for you that I think that you think we should? Because to be honest, Justice, I see a lot of parang civilizational hubris, if not contempt. When not only China, but some other, parang they talk as if, kayo mga Pilipino, di naman kayo, you're not an old civilization. You're just a former, colony, something. Kami, we are grand civil. May ganun di ba? There's this kind of a snobbery, if not dismissiveness, and contempt for post-colonial nations like the Philippines. Are you saying that these maps are important for us to recenter our sense of identity also and our sense of depth of history?
Yes, because the Treaty of Paris, said uh, the Philippine territory are the islands within the treaty lines. When the Americans came here, ang dami palang isla belonging to the Philippine archipelago lying outside the line. So nagkaroon ng second treaty, Treaty of Washington. And it says, the Treaty of Washington says, Spain also ceded to the U.S. any and all islands belonging to the Philippine archipelago lying outside the lines of the Treaty of Paris. So ang question ngayon, what are those islands of the Philippine archipelago lying outside the lines? Where is the document? Where is the map? There is only the map. And that map is the 1875 Carta General, the most complete map during the Spanish regime, and which the Americans adopted it as the official map of Philippine territory during the American regime.
Commonwealth.
And in fact, in that arbitration case between the Netherlands and the U.S. submitted the map that this is the map of Philippine territory under the American regime and under the Spanish regime. So these are important because this tells us where are the islands of the Philippine archipelago lying outside the lines? Where do we look for that document? That document is the map.
So hindi ito yung cartoon nag-drawing lang yung mga bata
Hindi,
kasi
hindi drawing.
people tend to be dismissed like, oh, maps kaya ng China yan. They will make all the fake maps in the world, right? Diba? So I just want to impress upon people, and in fairness, Justice, that's where our respect and love comes for you, because ikaw talaga, you paid a lot of attention to it. And I'll be honest, I was at first a bit skeptical of this map wars. I said, no, at the end of the day, it's about effective and exercise of sovereignty, right? It's about effective control. Do we have troops there? Do we have, that's also true. But what you're doing is also true, right? I mean, so we have to fight this war on multiple fronts, because yung mga ibang bansa, kung ano na nang sinasabi nila, and rightness is on our side. Did you manage to meet the president? Because I saw the picture of him with the Velarde map. Do you know anything
Yeah,
about
we,
the
we, we
president?
greeted each other, we shook hands.
I don't want to put you into trouble. No, I mean, I didn't mean it like, did you love BBM? Was he great and amazing and the most? No, no,
No,
I don't
it
mean.
was
No, like,
very
what was
cordial.
your
Yeah.
sense of the man? What is your sense of the man in terms of this issue?
Well, he spoke there, and he repeated what he's been saying, that we will assert the arbitral award. We will defend every square inch of Philippine territory. We will do it through peaceful means. We will not go to war. We will go to the courts. I mean, that's what we should do.
Kulang sana and we will not follow my legal advisor Enrile who backstabbed my father and now he's here backstab. No, I'm just kidding. Like, I'm just saying, Justice. If I were there, like, sir, para may kulang, may hindi ba kayong sinabi? Last part, Justice Carver, thank you so much for making time again. Grabe ang traffic nowadays, so sorry for starting a bit later than usual. Uh, Justice, last point on this, as far as our West Philippine Sea discussion is concerned. What should be the next steps forward, Justice? What are the things that we should do with 2025 coming, with a new American president coming? What are the things we have to do on the West
on
Philippine
the
issue?
on the West Philippine Sea.
If
Well,
there's a roadmap, yeah, you want to put the next
well,
phase.
we should, as I said, we don't know what's in the mind of President Trump, but everybody down the line, from the cabinet to the House of Representatives, they are all on the same page as far as China is concerned. So we just have to engage our American friends to 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 know what's happening there, and we should continue to expand our relationship, our security relationship with other countries. With, of course, there's a pending reciprocal access agreement with Japan. We should pass that already. We have we can, and France and UK are interested also. We can do that. We have already with Indonesia, with Australia. So we should, because we really don't know. You know, Trump said in that YouTube, you can see him in YouTube saying, we cannot blame Russia for invading Ukraine. I mean, wow, that was terrible. I mean, he might
Kawawa
say we
naman ang
cannot
Russia.
blame,
Kawawa naman ang Russia.
yeah,
Kawawa.
he might say we cannot blame China for grabbing the islands of the Philippines.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? But we have to be prepared for everything. That's why we should strengthen our security ties with other countries. We cannot put all our eggs in one basket. Well, that's what I'm saying.
And two additional things. One is, parang dapat sinabi mo, Justice, itong mga troll farms, itong mga walang yung, sorry, ito yung mga troll na alam mo naman na talagang saan galing yung renminbi, ay sorry, saan galing yung livelihood nila. Um, should something be done on that front, Justice? Itong mga, obviously, they're towing the line of China and trying to create disinformation and sow division in the Philippines. Should we do something about it, or wala lang? We just have to beat the fake news with our own news.
Well, we have to counter that because we are a democracy. So we have to keep on talking like this to explain to the people. That's how we
So
fight
yung
them.
marketplace of ideas pa rin yung
Yes,
doctrine mo.
that's true.
Okay. So paras pala kayo ni Harry Roque. Kasi di ba yun yung argument niya, marketplace of ideas. And just as, parang sama natin, no, we never talk about ASEAN na. Medyo matagal na natin. May paki ba tayo sa ASEAN? Because Malaysia will be the next ASEAN chair. In fact, I think baka Sabah pa yung maging summit ng ibang Sabah. Hopefully wala sa Sabah. Baka si Robin Hood, magsasalita naman si Robin. Matapang yan sa Sabah eh. Pag Sabah, biglang matapang si Robin Hood eh, di ba? ASEAN, may magawa ba tayo? What should we do with Malaysia as the ASEAN
Uh,
chairman?
there will always be a veto by three countries. We
Natin
have
pangalanan, wag na.
Cambodia, Laos, and Myanmar will always vote in favor of China. So we cannot get consensus, and and ASEAN operates by consensus. So that's a big problem. So we can keep on talking about this in ASEAN, but we should not expect a lot from that.
Wag na umasa. That's a very nice way of putting our relationship sa ASEAN. Para hindi masaktan. Wag umasa para hindi masaktan. Hello again and goodbye. Kumbaga, parang yung bagong pelikula. Thank you so much, Justice Carper, for another really comprehensive discussion. Gusto ko yan kasi parang spontaneous lang tayo, di ba? We started with, I don't know, saan pa tayo nagsimula? Nakalimutan ko na. Then we went to Harry Roque and we end up with ASEAN. I mean, that's amazing. The greatest, the greatest.
Amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, baka next year puro ganyan na tayo magsalita dyan. Justice Scarpio, what do you think? Si Justice Scarpio, well, I think, dapat may TikTok series tayo, Justice. Puro tayo mga Donald Trump magsagot. Justice Scarpio, 8 Nasaan si Harry? Is Harry in Dubai or in Morocco? Wait lang, baka iba yung bigyan ng alak yung mga... wait. Okay. Delete. Thank you so much, Justice Scarpio. Magpahinga po kayo. Thank you so much. People really appreciate your intervention and see you soon, God willing, Justice. And hopefully we can have our own Tres Marias with Ronald.
Okay.
I think that would be great. See you soon. Have a good night, Justice. Talk to you soon.
Okay. Thank you.